cannot believe in this day and age, I'm still having to defend who I am to people. And before you go, as if that happened, Khandie, today, I woke up this morning to a message saying, okay, just chill out. You've done too much. I mean, I'm very much paraphrasing this or change what's there because it wasn't as polite. I am aware I take a lot of space in the photography world, not as much as I think I could. And I also think it's a great lesson to those out there to take up more space. As of Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, I will have released 2 books. I have my current podcast that you're listening to, wherever you're listening to, be it Apple, Amazon, Spotify. Yeah. I have a brand I refuse to downplay. I have a YouTube channel. I have my sponsorships. I have my brand deals. I have my photographic studio. I have my talks I do. I have my photo walks, my lessons I do, my mentoring. I'm not about to downplay nothing. Absolutely nothing. In this episode of Loud Lens, I'm going to call out the bullshit idea that creatives should play small, and particularly people like me have to play less. This isn't an ego. This isn't about my ego. This is about me taking up space because taking up space isn't arrogance. It is a necessity for us as a brand, as a business, as a goddamn person to thrive. If that space is left that allows me to take up, maybe you should have been more. Maybe more people should have taken up more space. I don't know. You don't have to do what I did, okay? But you sure as hell can't make yourself invisible and expect to grow. So I want to open this up, and it is going to be quite personal. So here's some of the things I've been told. I'm too loud. I'm too opinionated. I'm too confident. I'm just too much, okay? They kind of say it like it's an insult, but what that tells me is, nah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Being a multi-award winning photographer, and I don't just mean like the fake awards, like I've won awards in industry places I never knew I was going to win, okay? I that's not too much. Winning awards is too much. And I'm not talking about the ones that are on a website. If you join them, you upload your shitty mobile picture and boom, you've won this, I don't know, most viewed photo on a Wednesday afternoon between 2 and 4. I don't know. Right? As of Tuesday, as I said, I'll have 2 honest, sweary, industry potentially rattling books. The first one, top seller on Amazon. Whether you like it or not, it was a top seller. And this podcast that I have absolutely freaking loved doing. 1, because I was doing my hair and makeup every time. 2, because I can record it, delete it, and keep doing as much as I want. Brand deals and paid content, I have busted my ass to be able to have because I know I'm not everyone's flavor, and yet people resonate with me. But brands play it safe, I feel, because, money and time is something we don't have. And brands are worried if they go too far, they might lose something. But I'm okay because I attract the brands that like me. But guess what? I'm not even done. I'm not even halfway done. I'm not even a quarter way done. The truth is anyone's ever told you to be less, made you feel like you're too much, if you're trying to shrink in, you're not building anything. You're just sitting in this stagnated pond, and the pond is getting smaller. Every time you don't do something, the water's evaporating. I don't know how else to do an analogy to this. Because for real, most of us didn't wake up and go, today I'm going to be invisible. I can't wait to be a nobody in this industry. We were taught bit by bit that making noise makes us difficult, especially, and I'm going to say statistically out there, if you're not a straight white or a middle class person, or dare I say male. Now, I'm not hating on anybody who is, but when you look not too long ago, so what was it? One of the podcasters or somebody in photography did a whole thing on who were the biggest ambassadors in certain things. And it looked very male. It also looked very white. And this is something I've brought up. Now, you have to know I am white. But do you know what? I recently shared, I say recently, I shared something about the UK Black female photography group on my story. And someone said, why have you been sharing that? You can't even join that club. Because I can. Because that's what community's about. Just because I can't be part of that club doesn't mean I can't appreciate what they do and see what they do. I get annoyed when I go to a trade show and it is not diverse. I'm not saying just pick someone out because you need to tokenize them. No, let's not do tokenizing. But there are incredible voices that don't look like me who are out there who aren't getting the credibility for some reason. And it's because brands aren't inclined to it. Now we're waking up. We are. But there is so much work to be done. But I'm just talking from my own personal experience because I cannot pretend I'm anything other than what I am. I've been told to tone it down. I've been told to wait. I've been told you need to let the work speak for itself. And I'm like, okay, but I put it out there. Surely I can shout about it because I've done it. No. Just here's the thing. If I'm not putting work out there and celebrating it, I'm not getting that work in. So the work just falls silent for me. And that's how entire industries are built to reward the confident and punish the authentic. And in creative work as poison, because photography, art, writing, design, it all demands visibility. But if we're told don't post too much, don't market too loud, don't price too high, and essentially don't rock that basic bad barge, I was going to say something else then, boat, we're going to become invisible. And I just sit there and I think, fuck that. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that, but I remember the exact moment I decided I was done asking for permission and doing something. And I said this a long time ago. Something I said this a number of times. Something happened in my personal life where I was really just overwhelmed and I couldn't do it. And I just went to this event and these people were talking down to me and I just snapped. I went, "You don't even know what you're talking about." And they're like, "Yeah, I do. No, no, we've never had a conversation." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, but no, 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 we've never had a conversation. Right now is our first conversation. You said hi to me. That's it. You don't know nothing about me, but you seem to." And I had enough. I had enough, right? It then got worse when I started doing this photography campaign, right? And I was working with an assistant and he was fantastic. Honestly, he's fantastic. Please no, I'm not arguing him. But people congratulated him on his work. Yeah, I was the one with the camera doing it. And it's because people automatically assumed. Now that's a rarity, I'm gonna say. But there has been times where I've been at a trade show where my partner has like been next to me. I've asked the question, and this is a very well-known camera brand. I'm looking at you because I've called it out a few times. I asked a question about the sensor. They looked up and turned to my partner and answered that question. I was with a friend who was talking to a printing company and they turned and said, "Oh, is this your hobby?" And she's like, "No." So you're trying to do this professionally?" She's like, "Get a ticket here. You have to be professional. Why would you assume like I know it's small things, but I'm done. I'm done." And it's not just the fact that, I remember when I first went home and started writing what would be my first book, Take Your Effing Lens Cap Off. And I didn't want it to be about ego. I wanted it to be like, what would I want to hear? I know it's very cliche to say that, but what would I want people to hear? Because what I was hearing at the photography did not resonate with me. Okay. I didn't want to do brown sepia, muddy tone editing. I wanted vibrancy. I wanted something that was connection and rather this beautifully perfected editing. I remember going to a couple of trade shows where they had judging things, and I was just sat there and I was like, I can't tell you about those photographers because they're all starting to look the same. And I don't mean that in any derogatory way. Please understand that. It just, I myself couldn't see any part of how I fitted in there, right? And I remember having my one of my pieces of work up on the wall, and this guy messaged underneath and said, "This is stand out for me. This draw me in." And it was just one person out of the hundreds that attended, so I shouldn't be put too much ego on it. But for me as a person, that felt great. So I just started, as the cool kids say, leaning into it. I was done. I decided that I started off really changing the logo of my business. I started going, "Sure, yeah, let's get this book out." When this book came out, I had the first book. I knew I had to start doing it. I did started the podcast. I didn't have so much an imposter syndrome, but I was scared to be a little bit more me. And the reason I was scared was because like it was kind of expected to behave a certain way. I did what everyone did, right? I'm pretty sure we all did. I wore the wide brim hat, the faux leather jacket, the skinny jeans. I'm probably dating myself here. And I posed with my camera. I remember doing it in my garden. And I remember putting my first promo picture up like, and I was like, oh, look back at them now. I'm like, oh, everyone's was the same. We'd cradle the camera, we'd like look at it, and I was like, no, that's not me. So when I decided to change, I had to leave that part of me completely behind. It was a new logo, it was new headshots, it was new everything. And I just had to. I had to because I wanted to have something better than what I was doing. I wanted to be bigger than what I was, as in like business wise. I'm not saying like I wanted to be famous, nothing like that. But what I wanted to do was be able to get more client gigs in. But when I looked around, we were all doing the same. And I was like, why are we all doing the same? And I think because for certain people it worked. Because at the time when they started doing it, it was unique. They stood out, right? And they looked amazing. But then everybody started doing it. We're all wearing this uniform. And I was like, it's not my natural outfit to wear, and and I was like, "Ooh," and if you know where to look on Instagram for the other account of mine, you will start seeing that I actually used to put on a uniform to be a photographer. So I would wear the wide brim hat, like I said, the jacket. Whereas in my personal life, I was wearing crazy ass colors. And then I'd like have this little section in my wardrobe, it was all dark. And when I went to events, I'd wear really dark clothes. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I want to just also talk about like taking up space, as they say, isn't a confidence flex. It's political, it's economical, it's a creative warfare. I don't know if that's a great term because you show up visibly, unapologetically, and loudly, and you're telling the world you're not waiting for validation from these invisible parameters you've put on yourself, these laws that you've decided to follow because you've decided to follow. You don't have to, but I feel like when you look into the general photography population, and I mean this at certain levels, particularly at the level I was operating at, that was the look, that was the vibe. As you go in different directions, you start seeing different people dress different way and they act a different way. And, you know, and what I noticed, what the people that I admire did not look like the people I was looking like. They did not look like me. They didn't act like me. They didn't dress like me. They did their own thing. And I was like, but if I admire them so much, why am I desperate trying to fit into this group if that's the kind of people I admire? And I was like, what is unique about them? And I sat there for a while. I wouldn't say it was like overnight. I woke up and went, oh, burn the hat and dye my hair orange. But I was like, what am I doing? And I knew there was something about me that I needed to do. I needed to change something. When I started to change it though, I heard the rumors. I got sent screenshots. They were like, I remember getting this screenshot that said, can you believe Khandie's bringing out a book? Who the F does she think she is? And I said, I got sent it because this person was someone I was recommending work to at the time. They went, just so you know, this person's saying about you. And I'm equally angry at the person who kept that information, but you know, and I was just like, who the F do I think I am? I think I'm Khandie fucking Kisses. I'm Khandie Reese. I'm Khandie the photographer. Why do I need to? Why I'm not being anyone else. I'm being me. You could write a book. You could start a podcast. No one's stopping you. Nobody is stopping you. So why are you annoyed? I do. And I realized because it made people uncomfortable. They want to call it an ego because they're uncomfortable. They want to call it arrogance because they're uncomfortable. They want to call me too big for my boots because they're uncomfortable. If you are secure in what you do and you're happy in your existence, you don't think that way about me. What is that term too big for your boots? Well, I wear a size 7.5. I'm wearing size 7.5 now. Why am I too big for my boots? Because I'm working for my business, I'm standing up for my business. Why does that make me like, oh, you're so arrogant. You started a podcast. Can you believe you started a podcast? Why is that arrogant? You could start a podcast. There isn't like a license required or an educational process to start a podcast. You could start a podcast talking about the boogers up your friggin' nose. You can start one. It doesn't make me arrogant. Okay? As I grew, I knew I wanted to be more creative and share more because I was enjoying sharing it. I'm not forcing no one to listen to this. You don't have to. That's the joy of a podcast. You can swipe back. You can never listen to this. But yeah, these people are saying, oh, Sharon, did you listen to her last episode? Yeah, I'm arrogant, but you're what, listening? Like, thanks for doing the numbers. Like, it got annoying. Like, and I realized actually, this was my branding. This is who I am. Not the arrogant, but the person who's like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. Why is that? I'm not bothering. I'm happy. I'm very happy. And this isn't a podcast about saying, write a book and everything be great. No. I'm telling you that the biggest lie creators believe is that visibility must be earned. You do not need 100 followers to put yourself forward as a speaker. You don't need a mentor to market yourself. You don't need to wait for your website to be, in commas, done. You do need to be able to be a speaker to speak. You need to show up, to pitch, to post and share the work. You need to do the groundwork, but you don't need to have 100 followers. You don't need to have this credibility online. You can set yourself, whether people book you or not is a completely different thing. But why can't you pitch yourself? Why? Why can't you? You know, why can't you, if you want to mentor and because you've learned something, why can't you offer as a mentor? No one has to book you, but why can't you offer it? And they always think, oh my God, can you believe she's mentoring? Fine, let them mentor, let them do it. I had a mentor. I mean, I hired a mentor for 24 hours. That was really what I did. And the mentor was fantastic and told me I was pretty much doing what I need to do, but just do more of it. And again, perfect. I just needed someone who I admired to say that to me. By the way, it was Chris Ord. Back in the day. He's fantastic. And do you know what I learned is that being obscure and hanging around the main flock of sheep, whatever you want to call it, whatever metaphor, analogy you want, I did not stand out. Yet I offer a bespoke service to clients, and yet it was just cookie cutter. How can I offer bespoke when everyone else is doing it? And I had to start doing something. Taking up space doesn't always look like a book tour, a viral reel. Sometimes it's like saying no to unpaid work and pitching yourself to a local business, showing your face on a post, telling your story about editing out your accent, your background, or your truth, which is really funny because those that know me from back in the day when I used to have a real Somerset accent, because I'm from Devon and Somerset. And when I joined the military, I got ripped apart. So I used to be like, hello, there's sheep on the airfield. My true accent, if you hear it when I'm tired or drunk, is quite Devonian Somerset hybrid. And it's gone. But I it's quite funny to say that I do get a bit. And sometimes there is like certain words when I get tired or I'm caught up in the words, you know. But here's the thing, small is not the same as timid. You can take up space gently, intentionally, slowly. You just can't afford to not do anything at all, right? If you want to run a business, you have to start taking it. But there is a risk if you don't, okay? You don't get found by clients, you'll get found by brands, you get underpaid because they see that you're not standing up for yourself, so you will get underpaid. You burn out silently because you're chasing constant clients, but they're treating you like crap. But you're also sometimes making amazing work and no one's seeing it because you're scared to show it, but you want people to book you for it and you want accolade for it. There is nothing wrong in wanting people to see your work and praise your work. Absolutely nothing wrong. Yet we're like, what? Why? What? Don't talk about, oh my God. No, darling, share your work. Share it. Who cares if one person like it? Your parents like it and that's it. Share it. If you love it, share it. People don't book ghosts, darling. They don't. They book people they can see, people who give them confidence and give them connection. They will book you, but only when they can find you. Okay? You need to be found. Because I dared to change who I was to be more me, if that's the way, if I stepped away from the sheep field or I took up the space, I've traveled for my work with my work. I've collaborated with major brands and I've spoken on platforms where honesty seems rare. I've told the story before. A brand offered me money to say in one of my talks at a major show that I used their product even though I didn't. I turned it down. Why? Because I'm not that person. I will not lie for financial gain. It doesn't, and yet I know people took that money and that's on them. They do them. You do you, boo. But that isn't what I want to do. I don't want to do that. And I've also found that I get paid better because people go, okay, she knows her stuff. We're not arguing with her. I remember being at, in fact, yesterday I was at a networking event. Is it yesterday? What day? On Sunday? No, Friday. I was at a networking event. And this guy was talking to me and he was hyping his business up. He does some sort of psychology training, something for leaders. He's fantastic. And we were talking about something and he goes, would anyone dare argue with Khandie? And I was like, of course they can. That's discussion. You can have a discussion with me. Meanwhile, the guy sat next to me and went, I would never argue with Khandie. I'll discuss, but I ain't going to argue with Khandie. If I was going to argue with Khandie, I would be the other side of town and then tell her that I think she's wrong and then I'd run away. That's not because I said to him, is it because I'm scared? He went, no, because you just own it. And I took it as a compliment. I don't say I'm a bully and I can't hear negativity stuff, but I owned it. The fact is, obviously, I give people the impression that I know what I'm talking about, and that resonated with them. And the guy laughed and said, yeah, I can imagine that with her. I get to work on my own terms. I get to say the truth because why can't I say the truth? If I don't like something, why do I have to hide that? You know? I know that my clients see me, not just my portfolio. And that's the power, if they say, of showing up. But I want to leave something with you because I think it's really important that we we don't just jump off and make a mess of our business. We do it in a different way. So maybe there's one way you can take it space because it's Sunday right now. I'm going to release this absolutely today. What about just hopefully you do one post that's a little bit more true to you. You're not thinking about the algorithm, you're thinking of you. Maybe there's one conversation you have with somebody that you wanted to. It's a pitch. It's that brave email to a brand you never did. It's a piece of content that sounds like you, but not just some echo chamber from our industry, you know? You don't owe anyone an explanation for being ambitious, visible, proud of your work. And if anyone calls you too much, tell them I'm not too much. You're not used to people like me owning the room. And if there is space left because you aren't taking it, I'm gonna take it. Okay? I I don't know how else to say this. I hope it's given you some flicker of courage. I hope. Good. Run with it. Have a party with it. Share it with a friend who's been second guessing it. I don't know. Drop me a DM. Tag me. Tell me. Be visible. Be glorious. Be disruptive. Be that supposedly inconvenient presence in your industry. Because frankly, I don't see a problem if you are genuine and you are kind and you're just doing your passion and you are owning what you do, then goddamn do it. Because this is the Loud Lens, and I gladly set this podcast up. And I am Khandie Reese, who wrote a book and has another one coming out. And I have a fantastic YouTube. I love doing my YouTube. Do I have loads of followers? No. Hint, go follow me. But I've always felt like I needed to be me a lot more in business, but I was always told to be less. And the moment I started being so much more me, doors opened. And I mean doors opened. This industry is full of people hiding behind egos and leather jacket and white broom hats. I don't know if that's the uniform we're all wearing now. You gotta stand up and stand on business. You cannot be cookie cutter of what else there is. You know, I remember being when logos were first coming out and people like businesses, everyone was doing like this floral thing with their name like a scripty writing like a signature, and then there'd be like some graphic or an antler head, or there'd be a flower, and then there'd be a camera, whatever. And it all just got to look the same. But honestly, step out, find something you like, run your business like you like it, run it like a business, but you've one you love. I hope this has helped. I don't know if it has. Maybe I've rambled on for too much. I think I'm quite reflective because this book is coming out and I'm a little nervous because it is the second one. I'm going to be honest about that. But also, just what happened in the last couple of days, it was just like, oh, gross. Anyway, support, support, support. Reach out to people you like, share the work that you like. You never know. You might make connections you never thought were possible. But also, just be so you. What are you worried about? You don't need to hide a part of you, okay? Unless, of course, you're an absolute douchebag, then hide away. We don't need douchebags on the scene. We don't need people like that. And I will keep sharing content from brands and groups that maybe I can't be a part of, but I admire what they do and I believe they should have more publicity because I'm not a douchebag and I love what they do. Take care. This has been The Loud Lens. Remember, Tuesday, 1st of July, the book comes out. And yeah, maybe that is arrogant of me. I just say it's because I'm proud of myself.